Welcome back to the show. We love to highlight local authors here on Daytime Ottawa. We've had so many coming through our doors over the last few months, and happy to introduce you to our next guest. He is also an author. Chris Donovan joining me. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. I'm really glad to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here. And my understanding, when you first came to Ottawa, you started watching Daytime, didn't you?
I did. That's how I knew I was in Ottawa. You weren't the host then. It was John and Jen.
John Dorr and Jen Rennick, yes. I believe it was. Yeah.
Yeah, so the show was on, I think, at 12 every day.
Right.
So I worked part-time, and I was able to watch that before I went to work.
You know what? And funny you mentioned John's name. He was just nominated for a Juno for Comedy Album of the Year. So there's a little...
Fire.
See, look at all the great people that have walked through these doors, including yourself, Chris. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your background. Tell me a little bit about your background as a writer and an author.
Well, it's mostly happened since I was coming up on 40. I thought I better do it now. So I started to write a novel, and then I got an offer to write for the Comics The Gathering website.
Okay.
And they gave me a chance to write a serial every week. And so the head person said, well, we'll give you 1,000 words a week. So it was every week a chapter, as crazy as you could get it. It would end with a cliffhanger to be 1,000 words.
Nice.
And that was basically the template I've taken and applied to the books afterwards.
For people that aren't familiar with the serial, Chris, can you explain that?
The serial that I wrote,
it
was called AWOL. It's in it's not in paperback, but it's in ebook format, and it was the first thing that I published, and it was the first thing that I made all the mistakes on.
Right.
That had the bad cover, the bad formatting, and it was from that I learned to do better with each book afterwards.
Right. Well, let's talk about your latest book. It's called Romeo.
Yes.
Tell me about this book. How would you describe it?
Well, it's got fire on the cover, and the book itself is a bonfire. It's the size of 3 of the books that came before it. It's 550 pages.
Wow.
It took me 2.5 years to write that. The paperback was just published on Valentine's Day, which ended up being appropriate since it's got Romeo and Juliet in it.
Right.
And it was really hard to take 550 words and cramp it down into this 6 or 7 lines on the back of the book, and I only put them on just before the cover was done.
The storyline itself, though, how would you describe the storyline?
Well, it's about Romeo Commodore. He goes from 18 to 30 in the course of 550 pages. He starts off very naive, and so we follow him all the way through the 90s. Up until 2003 when he's 30 and living in this very eccentric house across the road from a swamp.
Okay.
And so there's a swamp, and he's just discovered that there's a car in the swamp that's driving a little bit closer every night to his house.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
This isn't the only book you've written, as you mentioned. You've got your Republic of Ontario series. Yeah. An interesting title. Tell me about that series.
It's 4 books so far.
Okay.
It's actually the first book was that's the book 4.
Okay.
The first book that I published was the first book in that series, and it was just going to be a standalone. Because I was reading a lot of dystopian stuff around that time,
right?
And I thought I might do something like that, and then I did books 2, 3, and 4 after that. And so the twist being that it's not Quebec or Alberta that's separated; it's Ontario.
I see.
So you got to read and find out why.
You didn't have a series in mind though when you wrote the first book, or did you? Did you think to yourself this could turn into a series?
No, I didn't think so. I thought there might be a second book with that character, and I thought, well, if I do part 2 to this book, that'd be the easiest thing I could do. So I wanted to do something harder, and eventually came back to it.
This is the first one?
That's book 2.
Oh, that's book 2.
Yeah.
I couldn't find...
I know there's so many books. It's easy to get them mixed up.
What is your writing process then like? Do you come up with a character first? Do you come up with a storyline first?
I think now it helps to come up with the character, because I have enough ideas to go on until I die. So it's good to have the character. And what I didn't have before, when I couldn't finish books, I usually have the ending in mind.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you'd come up with the ending first and then sort of work your way.
And then I have a full-time job. I write before work, and I write late Friday and Saturday night. So that's basically how the books get done.
Are you working on anything at the moment?
Well, that just came out like last week, so my
Right.
mind needs to come back from that.
Right. How long did it take you to write
It took me
Romeo?
two and a half years to do that.
2.5 years.
Started during like July 2020.
So I can see that you wanted to take a little bit of a rest and let your mind settle until
I have the ideas. It's like I have people talking in my head, like, and I might go with them, but we'll see.
Nice, nice. What advice would you give to a writer that wants to get started?
Well, now you don't have to go to like way back when I was like really, really bad at writing and submitting stuff. You had to go through like, you had to go to publishing houses.
Right.
Now you don't have to do that. Like I see the writer's market books where you open the book and you try and figure out where you're going to send. I'm thinking, why do you even need that anymore? You can self-publish it yourself. If you're going to do it, you have to be resilient and prepared for a lot of highs and lows.
Yeah, I can imagine. Where can people get a copy of your books, Chris?
You can get them all on Amazon. You can get them in ebook and paperback.
Excellent. Great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Anytime. Well, next book, who knows? It may not take 2 years, 2.5 years. So we'll have you back. We'll be right back.